So Jeremy, I know over these last number of years, you've made some changes and some shifts within the campus ministry, particularly at Auckland Uni. And so do you want to talk a bit about why and what those changes were?
Sure. I think they had a lot of impact actually on the way students are coming through into work life from our ministry. Back in 2012 and previous, really 90% of the evangelistic fruit we were seeing, they would have been with a staff person, somebody who was working full-time with the campus ministry. And precious little fruit was with the student leaders. And so what that meant was our student leaders weren't really seeing success in terms of the evangelistic fruit. They were leading groups for us and helping the ministry out, but they very much thought of it that way. They were helping us out. And after a year or so of service, they would say, see you later. They would be not making it to the end of their degrees with us. And so, of course, they wouldn't be getting involved in work life at that stage. So we made a couple of significant changes. One, we realised a lot of our students were having great engagements with lost students in the first term. But in the rush to start their small groups, they were losing track of them. They weren't spending enough time with them to establish the relationships sufficient to take those people forward in terms of exploring faith, or if they were becoming Christians, to then get them involved in a discipleship relationship. So we were losing a lot of fruit at that stage with our students. And we changed things very simply. We did two things. One, we said nobody starts their small group until week 5, and you only worry about the people that aren't Christians that you meet, and you do whatever it takes. You meet them in cafes for coffee, you explore faith with them further, do Bible studies. If people are making decisions, you do follow-up studies with them. You drive halfway across town, try and get them to come to church with you. You invite them to the different socials that are happening. You take them to the movies with your girlfriend. You know, you do whatever it takes to get in their life. And our students lapped it up. They loved it. And by the end of that year, 90% of our fruit, our evangelistic fruit, was happening with students. So you can kind of imagine the impact that had on them wanting to be involved into the future. I would be remiss to say, to leave out that prayer was another thing that we changed, and we started fasting and praying before the uni began, and our students really started to own that. We went from a place where, as a movement, we really weren't praying together at all. There was individuals who were. We went from that to a movement that was really owning prayer and giving our students the opportunity to thrive in evangelism, not just thrive in running our groups, but thrive in actually seeing lost people come to Jesus and doing follow-up with them. And it's not uncommon for us to have people who are leading with us for 3-4 years now, and even at PhD level. And of course, they're sticking around, and then they're getting involved in their final semester. They're still involved, and they're meeting you, Bob, and they're meeting the guys from Work Life. And they don't want to leave their evangelistic experiences at uni because they've had success. They really want to see that transition to the workplace, wherever they go. So, I mean, it's been huge. And we would have had 20 student leaders back in 2012. That number's grown to 60 now. And I put that down to those changes. The longevity that produces in a student, seeing success and the enthusiasm that comes there. They're kind of showing up on your doorstep now, Bob, and they're going, okay, Bob, what's next? Tell us.
That's true.
You know, we want to know.
Yeah, that is. It's just fantastic. I mean, I'm just thinking of a recent grad who seems to have an evangelistic conversation every week in her workplace, and she's in her first year of work. So encouraging. And it's not that we're kind of pushing her along. She's just doing it. And I think she is someone who came to faith through the movement, through being involved at Auckland Uni. It's been a challenge for us to work out how do we do effective evangelism in the workplace. And we've tried events, we have provided training in evangelism for them, but we realize that a lot of it is about relationship and hospitality, that we have to create spaces where people can just mix their Christian and non-Christian worlds together, and that we as a ministry just facilitate those kinds of things. And so sometimes they don't look very kind of spiritual. So we had 50 odd people at a 10-pin bowling evening, including dinner, But there's some great conversations, and we know there's some non-Christians have come along to that, and they're just enjoying the experience and meeting others. And so I'd say those things have been learning curves for us. How do we do that?
We find those spaces so valuable in the campus ministry too. It's often the socials that we organise that the people who are not Christians that we're involved with, they'll come to those rather than the actual outreach event that we'll be organising.
Yeah, and we see it as a bit of a springboard, that just giving an appropriate opportunity and not to take the pressure off, because I think for these young professionals, we want them to know God has placed you in your workplace with your circle of friends and relationships. And so we are not your professional evangelists as staff to come into that relationship and do the work of evangelism. God's put you there. So our job is to equip and encourage you to share the gospel with the people that God has put in your world. And so that's quite a shift of people realizing this is what God has entrusted to me. So I need to prayerfully and carefully kind of walk along with these people. And our events are appropriate for people at different stages of their journey, and they have to choose accordingly.